It's huge. And it's marble and granite. And it's just a piece of rock. And it's the image of a man. Yeah, a great man, but it's the image of a man. All you got to do, am I upsetting people now? I feel a little. Oh, I can tell. I've been doing this a long time. I know where it's coming from. You think I'm not being patriotic? I just told you I love this country. I pray for this country. I called hundreds of people here Monday night to pray for this country. It's the greatest country in the history of the world. But I am not blind. I will not ever cease from declaring that the judgment of God is going to fall on this country. One day this country will not be, because God in His mercy has stayed His judgment. And we're living in that brief time. God is giving us a chance. But I'm not going to overlook stuff because of patriotism. First of all, I'm a Christian. I don't want to preach that whole message again. I don't need to preach it again, because if you question that, your heart's not in the right place. All you got to do is come to Washington or go to Washington, and there's the Washington Monument. 555 feet of marble and granite, 555 feet, straight up in the air. Or you could just go down the street a little ways to the harbor and you see this 305-foot copper or bronze statue of a woman holding a torch. They call her Lady Liberty. And it is so moving to people. I've watched the documentaries like you have when immigrants are coming from other oppressive nations and they finally get into the harbor and they see her. There's documented evidence that they cry, they weep, they hug one another, they take their caps off, they wave it at her while they're weeping because they've come to a free country and they believe liberty is here and the old way of life is gone, only to find out when they get here that wicked people try to control them and wicked people oppress them here. I'm not going to go into a real evangelistic spiel right here, but I'll tell you this. There is no liberty in a piece of bronze. There is no freedom in a statue. The freedom comes when those people get off the boats, and the freedom comes when people tune in and they hear that the only way to be liberated, the only freedom there is in a risen Jesus Christ. And if the Son makes you free, you are free indeed. You are not free because you change countries. You are not free because you get to start a business now. You are not free because you have income. You are only free when you smite your breast and you say, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And that which was bound up, God will release. And those that are tied up in their sins, God can cut the cords. God can set the captive free. That's what nations do. But God said, I'm not going to put up with this. So God reached way down into a country of the Chaldeans, and He put His hand on a man named Abraham, who was a pagan idol worshiper. He was as pagan as anybody, and he worshiped all the gods that other nations worshiped. God said, no, I'm pulling you out of this. I want you to leave family, friends, country, everything. I'm starting a new nation. And this new nation I will not allow to worship the creation and build stuff and be proud of itself. This new nation will know me, walk with me, understand me. I will be their God and you will be my people. There will be no middlemen. You won't have to pay any money. You won't have to light any candles. You won't have to go to a certain place. I'll be with you everywhere. I am a spirit, and when you worship me, you can worship me in spirit. You don't have to hold anything in your hand. You don't have to light anything. You don't have to do anything except call on the name of the true and living God, and I will be with you. And so he brings them out after all these years by Moses to the foot of Sinai. And he calls Moses up onto the mountain. And God covers Moses in thick darkness. And God speaks to Moses and gives him the 10 commandments. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. What does that mean? Because whatever it meant to Moses then, it means to me right now. You shall have no other gods before me, or beside me, or behind me. I am the only God you are to ever have. You are not to construct anything, imagine anything, design anything that even attempts to reach me or represent me or replace me. You can't know who I am. You can't imagine what I look like. Don't make an image. That's the second one. No one else is to be worshiped. Nothing else is to be worshiped. And you are to worship me nakedly, purely, without any help, without anything to touch, without any aids. You can be by yourself, and I will touch you, commune with you, speak with you. You don't have to do anything but look up and believe. And while he was giving them that, of course, you know there are 8 more. Moses goes down, and the children of Israel have fashioned for themselves a calf out of gold. And they have taken their clothes off, and they are dancing in the nude and committing adultery, and they are drunk and they are gluttons. And Moses and Joshua hear them saying, "These be your gods, O Israel. They delivered you out of Egypt." Because it's in the heart of man to worship something. They didn't even have the fullness of the knowledge of the God that was speaking to their leader on the mountain yet, but they were worshiping something. That's what people do. They worship something. I turn over to Romans chapter 1. Listen to these words. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible attributes are clearly seen. I don't have time to do all this. Lord, help me. God says everybody can know there's a God just by looking around. Being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. Here it is, so that they are without excuse. There are no excuses from any human beings about their knowledge of God. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man and birds and four-footed animals and creeping things. Therefore God gave them up to uncleanness. That's as plain as you can make it. Paul is saying, and you know, nations are known for certain images that they project. When you go to a Chinese restaurant, you expect to see dragons, right? Anything to do with Japan, and I don't mean to be offensive because this is very elementary. Please don't be upset with me. It has to do with the sun. India, you don't know. They have thousands and thousands of gods in different caricatures. You just don't know. This is what the Bible says men would do when they don't know the true and the living God. I want to read to you from, I'm going all the way back to Deuteronomy chapter 4. See, I preach the whole Bible. The whole Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 4, listen carefully. God said, "Take heed to yourselves, for you saw no form when the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire." You know what that means? Now listen again. Take careful heed to yourselves, for you saw no form. You didn't see a person. You didn't see a thing. You didn't see anything identifiable. I spoke to you out of the fire and the cloud, but I spoke to you as a spirit. Be careful lest you act corruptly and make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female. And that goes for Mother Mary. The likeness of any animal that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water beneath the earth. And take heed lest you lift your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun, the moon, the stars, all the host of heaven, you feel driven to worship them and serve them. He said, be careful. You don't worship any animal. You don't worship any person. You don't look up and see the constellations, the sun, the moon, the stars, and worship them. You don't do that. That's the creation. I let you worship me, the Creator. Him and only Him shall you serve.